We likely track some snow showers as we head through the overnight hours tonight. Maybe even a little bit of light accumulation. I will have the latest forecast for you coming up.
Just noticed like a lot of lights and people moving outside my apartment.
Too close for comfort. A resident calls Lexington's most recent murder unsettling.
Let's see what you got. Don't be shy.
A dog hit by a car is recovering thanks to the kindness of several people. Coming up, we will show you the recovery that even veterinarians are calling miraculous.
This is WKYT News.
Thanks for staying up with WKYT. I'm Kristen Kennedy. We are tracking the chance for snow for the start of the work week. WKYT meteorologist Jim Caldwell is keeping an eye on the sky and has an early look at the forecast.
And right now what we're tracking, at least here in Kentucky, is the first stage of what you need to get some snow, the cold. We're running in the low 30s out there tonight. Now, let's get to what everybody wants to hear about and see about what we're tracking, and that would be this. The snow that's rolling in across parts of Indiana, Ohio, and dropping to the south. What we could run into as we go through the overnight, into the day tomorrow, wrapping up into tomorrow evening, will be snow showers, perhaps even some snow squalls that come rolling through the area. Now, what does that mean? That means that maybe from time to time, visibilities could be greatly reduced from some of the snow that gets in here, and it starts to pile up. And I don't mean the accumulation starts to pile up, but as it starts to enter parts of Kentucky, what will happen is when it bumps up against those mountains, it'll start back building and keep the snow chances alive deep into the afternoon. Temperatures cold all the way through tomorrow. I think we're in the low 30s for highs, and you can see that key time period there for snow, 8 o'clock in the morning all the way through about 2. There might even be a few snow showers lingering around 4, but I think the chances are a little bit less at that point. But we'll still have some to deal with out there, and maybe even some light accumulation. What I'll do is I'll run one of our models and show you just how much we can expect coming up here in just a few minutes.
One man is in jail tonight, charged in connection with the city's second murder of the year. Police say 25-year-old Donald Rourke Jr. shot and killed 28-year-old Corenz White at the University Trails Apartments last night. WKYT's Caitlin Sentner is talking to a man who lives at the complex. She tells us what he saw in our top story.
That's not the life I live. That's not how anybody should be living.
A resident of a Lexington apartment complex is shaken after yellow tape went up outside his apartment. Police tell us they responded to a report of an intoxicated person in the 800 block of Red Mile Road. When they arrived on scene, they found a man in the parking lot with a gunshot wound to the chest.
Just noticed like a lot of lights and people moving outside my apartment.
This was Boozer's view last night, and he was confused.
For real, taping off my apartment.
We know from police that 28-year-old Corenz White was alert, but collapsed and died at the scene, making this Lexington's 5th shooting and 2nd homicide in 2016.
It roped off like a whole big section of the apartment complex, pretty much starting at my apartment, blocking off the dumpster.
Lexington police have been undeniably busy this new year, but less than 24 hours after an overnight murder, they put a man behind bars.
The man arrested on Sunday, Donald Rourke Jr., has a criminal past, including wanton endangerment. He's now charged with murder and tampering with evidence in this case. It's a case that's made residents nearby uneasy and searching for answers as to why such a violent crime took place.
It's scary, you know, somebody like I take my trash out there and they found a person out there who ended up dying.
In Lexington, Caitlin Sentner, WKYT.
Rourke is expected to be in court tomorrow. Lexington police are also still trying to find the person responsible for shooting and killing a man on New Year's Day. The Fayette County coroner says 28-year-old Joseph McDowell died just after midnight Saturday. Police say someone shot McDowell several times around 5 Friday morning on Roosevelt Boulevard. He later died at the hospital. Police have not released any names of suspects or persons of interest. New tonight, parents in Nelson County are worried about their children going back to school with a wanted man on the loose. Police say 57-year-old Stephen Halsey was on parole for a burglary charge and for failing to comply with the sex offender registry. He was paroled last month, but he hasn't checked in with his parole officer in a while. The sheriff's office says someone spotted him on a trail camera on Icetown Road last week. Parents and school bus drivers are worried about children's safety.
Kids, having to stand out in the mornings because parents, have already gone to work and they're by themselves.
Bus drivers hope parents will wait with their kids at the bus stop tomorrow morning. Halsey has a long criminal history, including rape, assault, burglary, and arson. A former Louisville priest accused of child exploitation is expected to change his plea. Stephen Pohl originally pleaded not guilty to the charge back in November. A Louisville TV station reports Pohl will change his plea tomorrow. Pohl was a priest at St. Margaret Mary Parish. Investigators first charged him with the crime in August. Pohl faces at least 10 years in prison if convicted. Deputies in Boyle County have charged a Lexington father with drug trafficking. Deputies found 29-year-old Eric Adkins at the Super 8 Hotel in Danville. They say they found heroin and money in his hotel room. They also found his 6- and 11-year-old children there with him. The children are now with other family members. Adkins is charged with trafficking and wanton endangerment. A Pulaski County man faces charges tonight for breaking into 2 homes this weekend. 23-year-old Scott Wilson faces many charges, including 7 counts of wanton endangerment and burglary. The Commonwealth Journal reports Wilson broke into homes on Fairway Lane and fired shots. Somerset police say Wilson went into a townhome, and when the homeowner ran to a neighbor's house, he followed. The paper says Wilson told officers he fired several shots in the air. Deputies in Laurel County are dealing with a string of vandalism. They say overnight someone slashed tires on several cars. Deputies say the crime started happening around 1:30 this morning. They say the vandals targeted cars belonging to 11 different people on East Pittsburgh Church Road, James Harris Cemetery Road, and Raider Ridge Road. A dog hit by a car in southern Kentucky is getting a second chance here in Lexington. Lexi had to wait days until she could get help, and today the vet took care of her. WKYT's Hillary Thornton went to Lexi's vet appointment.
At not even 1 year old, little Lexi has been through a lot.
Lexi was hit by a car in Pulaski County and brought into the shelter.
With many area rescues consumed in helping with a hoarding case in Laurel County, Lexi sat injured for 10 days until an available rescue was found.
It became very apparent very quickly that she was in severe shape.
Lexi came to Rebecca Martin and Black Dog's Rescue in Lexington, unable to stand, suffering tremendous pain, leaving rescuers wondering if Lexi could be saved.
She had waited 10 days in absolute pain, and so we felt we owed her at least a relaxing night with some tender loving care and some pain medication before we made that decision.
So rescuers brought her here to MedVet in Lexington for that care she needed and deserved. However, doctors here also acknowledging that the outlook for little Lexi did not look good.
She suffered a high velocity trauma, no doubt. She has multiple pelvic fractures. Clearly she fractured her tail right off of her tailbone there. You know, Rebecca and I had a pretty frank discussion about should we do anything for this dog or should we be considering humane euthanasia for her.
And really by the next day we had all fallen in love with her, the veterinary staff and our rescue, so we determined that we would do whatever we could to give her a chance.
Rallying together support for this dog without a family to call her own, bringing in donations to give her a chance. 12 days ago, Dr. McBrien surgically repaired Lexi's left hip.
Very happy with the decision we made.
Let's see what you got.
Because on Sunday,
Don't be shy.
the dog who had not walked in weeks, who many thought was not going to make it,
Good girl.
proudly walked for those giving her a chance.
It's amazing how many people really do care and how many good people there are. I always keep that in mind as a rescuer. I think the good people much outweigh the bad.
In Lexington, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
What a sweet dog. Once healed, Lexi will be up for adoption. The rescue group is still working to raise money to cover her medical expenses. To find out how you can help pay those expenses, visit our website, WKYT.com. Some flakes in the forecast. Many county road crews are preparing for an early morning. The Scott County Road Department has been stocking up on salt since last winter. They started getting their trucks and plows ready back in November. They're hoping for a mild winter.
I always say if I can make it through the first of the year, you know, we got to deal with winter through January, February, part of March. So I don't look for it to be too bad this year, really.
J.R. Brandenburg says their salt barn is filled to capacity with nearly 2,500 tons of salt. And just a few miles away at their new facility, they're storing nearly 5,000 tons of salt. Saudi Arabia has cut ties with Iran, giving Iranian diplomats 48 hours to leave the kingdom. This comes after the storming of the Saudi embassy in Iran Saturday. Holly Williams has the latest from Istanbul.
Saudi Arabia's execution of Nimr al-Nimr has inflamed a centuries-old conflict between Sunni and Shiite Muslims. Saudi Arabia severed diplomatic ties with Shiite-dominated Iran on Sunday after an irate mob ransacked the Saudi Arabian embassy in the Iranian capital, Tehran. 42 people were later arrested, though Iran has now also named the street in honor of Nimr al-Nimr. The country's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, said that Saudi Arabia will face divine revenge. Saudi Arabia is ruled by a Sunni Muslim monarchy. Nimr al-Nimr demanded equality for Shiites and called for peaceful protests during the Arab Spring. He was shot and arrested in 2012 and sentenced to death 2 years later for crimes including disobeying Saudi Arabia's rulers. The US says it's worried the execution of Nimr al-Nimr will exacerbate religious tensions. But Saudi Arabia is unrepentant and says al-Nimr, along with the 46 other people it executed on Saturday, was put to death in accordance with Islamic law. Holly Williams, CBS News, Istanbul.
A State Department spokesman says the U.S. will encourage regional leaders to take affirmative steps to calm tensions. We are learning new information tonight about a protest in Oregon. A sheriff in southeastern Oregon says a group occupying a national wildlife refuge came to town under false pretenses. Sheriff David Ward says the men came to Harney County claiming to be there in support of 2 ranchers. The ranchers had served time for arson. Recently, a judge ordered them back to jail for longer sentences. Sheriff Ward says the group is really in town to spark a movement to overthrow the government. He's asking people to stay away for their own safety. Firefighters in western Kentucky are investigating a fire that destroyed 3 businesses and damaged a home. The fire started around 6:30 Saturday night on Miller's Mill Road in Hopkinsville. WHOP News Radio reports flames destroyed 3 Amish stores and damaged a nearby home. No one was injured, but crews did have to check on an overheated firefighter. They're still trying to figure out what started that fire. A Pike County woman arrested for a federal parole violation faces several new charges tonight. 24-year-old Kristen Marie Campbell is now facing drug-related charges. The deputy jailer says Campbell confessed to her, resulting in those new charges.
Me and her were walking upstairs. She had made the statement that if she had known that that was in her bra, that she would have ditched it like she did the rig, which is the syringe.
The deputy jailer reported Campbell's comments to Pikeville police, and they found the syringe Campbell was talking about in the arresting officer's cruiser. Campbell is now charged with drug paraphernalia and tampering with physical evidence.